Welcome to Wednesday and welcome to our fifth gathering of Eve Marco's wonderful series on aging, which we've been enjoying over the last month or more. And I believe we will have three more gatherings. The next one will be in 2 weeks, and Eve's going to talk about that a little bit later on. But these have been wonderfully both informative and interactive, and I think people have gotten really engaged. And hopefully, most of you have attended the earlier ones. In case you've not, we do record these, and they are available on the Zen Peacemaker website. And the previous four are all posted, as far as I know. If you'd like to, even if you did attend and you'd like to review, that resource is there for you. Once again, with huge appreciation and gratitude, I'll pass the microphone and the talking stick to my friend and teacher, Roshi Eve Marco. And Eve, thank you. I'll let you take it away, and I'll mute myself.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, and Happy New Year to you. I mean that with all my heart, because I think that every thought and word and gesture that I do, be it small prayers for people's health, be it, just deeply felt wishes, they're all kind of part of the big energy of the world. I think they're important. With that in mind, why don't we all unmute and wish each other a Happy New Year, please? Let's add to that energy. Please do that.
Happy New Year.
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 Happy New Year, buddy.
Okay, thank you very much. May this year be a year of peace. This is a good time to get into this thing of gravity sag, what I call. I actually got that name from James Hillman's book. But the more I reflected on it, the more I realized the real name is getting down to earth or dropping down to earth. And we'll get into that. And the importance of that. That's what I think about sagging, getting down to earth. Oh, yeah. In terms, I want to always review the feedback. The only real feedback that I got from last time is that I didn't speak loud enough. So I put my volume to the highest level. I have asked Jeff to please, and Chloe, please monitor that. If you can't hear me, just don't stand on ceremony, just interrupt. I don't care. Unmute and just yell, speak louder. Okay? Because I do tend to do weird things. I cover my mouth. My sister always yells at me for doing that. So I wanted to say that. Just a little bit about small groups. Our feedback is that those are really important for people. So we want to keep on doing them in the last part of this, depending on who's there. And sometimes people drop in and out. It doesn't always work as well as we'd like. We'd like you to please try to stay in there. Bernie used to say that, let's say if there's 100 people in an audience, in a room, be it a lecture, be it a Dharma talk, be it a workshop, it doesn't matter. He says each of the 100 people usually gives about 1/100th of the attention in the room. He says that's just like it's very natural when we see a big group we want to be involved, but our attention really decreases. The nice thing about being in a group or 4 or 5 is now you're challenged to give more of your attention. Now you're one of 4 or one of 5. So your attention and engagement is fed more. And so you can do that. You can help each other be more attentive, get more, and give more. That's the importance of small groups. Okay. And once again, thank you very much to Jeff and Chloe who do this work of promoting this, putting it on, reminding you, dividing the groups, and all gifts to Zen Peacemakers to continue this work would be greatly appreciated. Now, one more announcement before we start with getting down to earth. Originally, I thought that 2 weeks we would do a session on staying up at night. And then over time, as we're doing this, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if that's really that important. Some of us stay up at night, can't sleep. And some of us, like me, frankly, with a little gummy, pot gummy, which is legal in Massachusetts, I sleep really well. And I like to talk a lot out of experience. So I started rethinking this. And I thought that instead I'd like to do a session on feelings, and especially feelings of fear, anxiety, depression, all these things that some people feel as we get older. And it can be fear of getting older, fear of getting sick, fear of being left alone, fear of being dependent, fear of not being able to drive. For me, that's a big deal given where I live. So all the attendant sadness, deep sadness that comes up for us very often at this time. So I'd like to do that in 2 weeks instead of staying up at night, unable to sleep, which actually one feeds into the other. And the wonderful thing is that in a whole other context, I read an article by my friend Bob Rosenbaum about feelings and how they arise and how we construct them. Bob is a Zen teacher. Bob is a Qigong master. He is a Buddhist scholar. He is a psychotherapist, and he's also a neuropsychologist. He's one of the most accomplished people I've ever met. I read that article and I decided that rather than passing it off as mine, pilfering his ideas, I'm going to ask him to join us in 2 weeks. And he agreed. We are going to meet, getting again a thing that, can people hear me?
Eve, I hear you great. It's perfect.
Volume. Yeah, my volume is at the max, so I don't really know what else I can do to make myself louder.
If the listener can turn their volume all the way up, maybe that's part of it.
Okay, but I'm glad. Thank you for posting that. It's really important that we know. Jeff, do you have any sense of why Catherine cannot hear me?
I don't, because we're not hearing from anyone else that there's an issue here.
Ask her if she could try headphones.
Oh, I see. Yeah, Jerry's saying try headphones. Good thought.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Oh. Try speakers. Yeah, now we're getting way beyond my comfort level, which is also a big topic here. Okay, if we can do that on chat, if people have some suggestions, please put them on chat. I'm going to open up my chat so that I can see it also. And
Eve, I think your volume is fine.
yeah. Okay, I'd like to move on, and I'm really sorry. about anything, and let's try to really stay in communication with that, please. So, to make a long story short, you will get a reminder with the actual title of what we speak of in 2 weeks, as I described it, and also Bob Rosenbaum will join us, and you'll enjoy Bob very much. Okay, coming down to earth. Here is our musical overture by Fats Waller, of all people. Jeff is going to put it up.
Come down to earth, my angel, for I never learned how to fly. Come down to earth, your heavenly touch could do so much if you only would try. Don't fly away, my angel, for what would my future be worth? Not even a dime. So don't ever change, just be an angel. Come down to earth.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks a lot. Fats Waller is a famous American jazz pianist, and he also plays the organ in this piece. You heard the organ, that was him, both on piano and organ. And he composed this some 85 years ago, and 2 years later, he was dead at the age of 38. Yeah. So let's think about what happens, what the language is when we're younger. We talk about being upwardly mobile, right? We talk about social climbing. We're always talking about getting higher and upper, climbing the mountain, getting up on the tall deck of a ship and giving orders. when you look at hierarchical charts, a triangle, it's always the top, that tip at the top, that we're always talking about. That's supposed to be the best, people at the highest, on top of a big stage. That's different what's happening now. And the best, James Hillman writes it really better than, certainly than I can say. Instead, the great sag, eye pouches. I'm a big one for eye pouches. Double chins, jowls. Pendant breasts. Hanging skin on upper arms. I'm guilty of all these. Droopy belly, for sure. But, oh my God, scrotum. Even the ear lobes grow long towards the floor. And we look down to watch our step. So that's really different from what we usually do. And from the way society speaks about advancing in life. At the same time, in my Buddhist tradition, there's such a thing as bowing. Bowing never came easily to me. Never. And now it comes a lot easier. And we bow as a way of greeting. I think we bow as a sign of humility. And we bow as a sign of appreciation. And we bow as a sign of maybe surrender. That's not so easy for many people. I remember many years ago when Nikita Khrushchev was alive. He was visiting India, and he was told that the Prime Minister of India would, of course, meet him at the airport, and he would bow, which is their tradition in India. And he was told that he should bow back. And Nikita Khrushchev said, "I'm the Prime Minister. I'm the head of the Soviet Union. There is no way I'm bowing." So that's a big deal for many people, that we see bowing as a weakness, which is what we do. Now, also in Buddhism, when we do liturgy, when we don't just do standing bows, we do standing bows if we can't do anything else. We actually do prostrations. So prostrations means that you go down on your knees, and then you put your upper body from waist up all the way on the earth, and you go down like this, and then you raise your hands to the Buddha above your head. So that's really full prostrations, and those get really tough to do as we get older. And I remember Bernie, who had problems with his knees from the age of 20 when he had an accident doing judo, and ended up in the hospital, always had bad knees. And so very often as he advanced and all that, he really couldn't get down on the ground. But there were times when he was so stubborn about it, and he would just go down to do a full bow. And I always knew that he would pay a price for that in terms of pain. And you could see when he came up that he was struggling to get up. In Japan, there's really a protocol for going down, especially if you're ordained, which I'm not. People go down very elegantly. I've seen that many times. You kind of just, you never put your butt up in the air. You go down and you're very elegant, and you get up from the mat completely on your own very elegantly. I have never been able to do that. But I'm always amused by that. And especially if you're a priest and you wear those kimono length robes, you can't imagine what a mess that could be. And I also remember, again, from very early years ago, when we had, it's called something, but it's public questions and answers, son. And this elderly woman who was ordained came forward. And when you come forward in front of the teacher, you make a full prostration. And Bernie looked at her, and he wasn't Bernie then, he was Sensei. And he says, no, it's okay. No, you don't have to do that here. It's too difficult. And she said, no, I have to do it. And she went down, and you could see it. And it was funny because from the back it looks clumsy. She's wearing a white kimono, and she's wearing a black kesa, and she's wearing something else. And all these things can get really jumbled up in your feet and you can stumble. But she insisted on going down to the ground. And at that time, I thought she's doing it as a mark of respect to him. Now I think that many of us do that because we find refuge on the ground. We find refuge on this earth. We let the earth hold us. The earth is holding us. Another aspect of coming down to earth is that maybe we don't travel as much. Hillman especially really describes it very well. He says, we're used to building an empire from the time we're young. And again, he says, in later years, our reach into the world has a short horizon. At 10, fantasy drives an exploring module around the moon. At 20, the Trans-Siberian Railway, or hunkering or helping natives in Mindanao. At 30, a year off in Tuscany or Tahiti. We'll take music lessons, learn Spanish dance, paint on a houseboat, read Proust, Gibbon, Cervantes, open a restaurant, write a movie script, a detective novel, study Chinese, play the markets. We gather clippings, we keep notes, addresses, future dates on the calendar, and then as the years pass, we begin to call the troops home, one by one. Pulling in the troops is simply calling home the possibilities and dropping into where you are, your place. Calling in the possibilities, not eliminating them, not saying it's too much, just calling them in here and dropping into place. The self. The other thing that comes up for me, at least, and you'll have a chance to discuss what comes up for you, is we don't keep up with conformity as much. We don't conform and worry about what everybody else does or how they look or what they wear or expectations. And I especially think of older women that I've seen, women who made it a point to always look good. I think of my mother. She she always wanted to look good. She didn't have a lot of money. Whatever she had, she really wanted to have some nice clothes, jewelry all the time, makeup all the time. Because that was her sense of who she was and how she presents herself in life. It was so interesting to see as she got really much older. She had a wonderful Indian caregiver, Swapna Santosh. And Swapna would start helping her dress. And she would show her this blouse, this skirt. And I could see how my mother lost interest more, but she would say, yeah. And then she would put on the lipstick on her. And then she would show her these earrings, this necklace. But I began to see that putting that old, and she was 94, getting her body into the clothes and with the jewelry, with the makeup that she couldn't even put on herself anymore. She wasn't doing that anymore because she was identified with this, I have to look good. It was more a matter of, yes, to honor people, I'm going to put myself through all this so that they could see me like that. It was no more this living up to expectations and being pretty. And she was a pretty woman for sure. But it was interesting for me to change that, really. Okay, but now I want to go into turn the page just a little bit. So there's a famous story of the Buddha when he became enlightened. And all these delusions came up. And the master of delusions was somebody called Mara. I wonder what we'd call it today. It occurs to me. Would we call it TV? Would we call it social media? What would we call our big king or queen of delusions today? So at that point, they called it Mara. And when the Buddha was clear that he wanted, I'm going to get down to the essence of things, the very basic of things, Mara said to him, oh yeah, and who the hell are you? Thank you very much. Who the heck are you? Who do you think you are? And the Buddha said, the earth is my witness. So there's all kinds of images of the Buddha. Let me see, I might even. So, Jeff, if you could make me a co-host so that I can share. I have a photo of one of our Buddhas that actually has him standing and pointing to the earth. You are. And do I use the share? I think I do use the share. Yeah, here it is. So this is. Whoops. Didn't work. Okay. Here it is. Can you see it? So there's a photo of the Buddha, and he's pointing to the earth with one hand. There's many different. This is the only one I have at home when I dug it up that actually shows him pointing that. There are many images of him sitting with one hand down towards the earth. So somebody's like, now he was skin and bones. He had not been eating. He probably thought he was a failure because he hadn't succeeded in what he wanted to succeed in. So he wasn't doing well. And yet, when Mara asked, who the hell do you think you are? He pointed to the earth, and the earth said, yes, I am his witness. And for me, that's very moving for me, and maybe for all of us, because I think that our culture says, who do you think you are? Why are you even here? What, you think you're really going to learn more? You think anybody's paying really attention? When we were younger, if somebody asked, who do you think you are? You can say, not me. I'm married to this person. I have these kids. I do this work. I am this. I have this education, this title. I do this, I do that. And now people say, who are you now? Who do you think you are now? And the Buddha's response was, he pointed to the earth. And he says, the earth is my witness. So I want to put it to you. What was he asking for? What was he saying? Or what does it mean that he points to the earth? Why would I point to the earth? Why would you point to the earth right now? So whoever would like to answer or to give, to say, please share and please raise your electronic hand because I'd like to hear from you. Please. Thank you for being first.
My first response is we're from the earth. We are earth. So we're an extension of earth.
Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah. We're not freestanding. We're not freestanding. And Victoria, please. Hello.
Hello. Happy New Year. Yes, I've been a member of a year-long cohort with an Insight Meditation Society, and it's called the Nature Sangha. And it's just been a wonderful experience. That the whole year-long experience was connecting with nature and realizing that we are part of nature. And the model for the whole concept was the story that you just told. But that poignant sense of touching the earth, the Buddha touching the earth as a way of gaining support, and realizing that he could withstand Mara by having that grounding. And so anyway, I just appreciate you sharing this now, because I think it's such a beautiful example of the grounding of gravity. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, we sag into gravity. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
I'll pick up the talking piece. I sensed a moving down, a sagging, if you will, and an opening with humility to be part of it all and the earth.
Thank you for that, David. Yes, Linda, please.
As I began thinking about this, and I came up exactly with what you did, Eve, as I was thinking about our theme before we began, that it didn't feel like a sag to me. It feels like a deep misunderstanding of gravity. Gravity's been holding us from the beginning. And so if we look at the cosmos as our spiritual teacher, then what does gravity do? It always pulls us toward the center. So to me, rather than gravity's sag, it's that I'm being pulled toward the center. And I would say I'm being pulled toward my own center. Because as we become less skillful at this incredible posture that we have of being two-legged, upright beings, and we begin to have help with our canes or our walkers or whatever they are to keep that, because something is calling us, I would say home, calling us to the center. And that's what gravity does. And to do that, we have to become humble, or we have to become part of the humus, the earth, and more respectful of this incredible force that has been holding us our whole lives.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. And I would also add to that, Linda, that of course gravity brings up gravitas. So it brings us down to gravitas. And it is interesting that we don't say that it takes us up to gravity, it brings us down to gravity, down to gravitas. Yeah, thank you for that. And David, please, hi there.
Hello, everyone. I walk every day for all through the year, and I am in awe of katydids and the way they move on the earth, and walking sticks and praying mantis. All these incredible, for me, awe-inspiring, earthbound creatures. And so I'm grateful to all of this awe-inspiring earth manifestations.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, uh, at the very least, I feel like the earth gives me some basic dignity. It affirms some kind of value. I feel that very deeply. And look at how much we do. I also, like David, I think, David, you live in the country. Paul, I'm going to ask you, but just give me 1 minute. And when we walk, we can feel all the life. We could feel the grass or the hard ground or the pebbles or all that. And all that is holding us. All that is holding us. Ornament, Paul was there. I don't see Paul anymore. Paul, are you there? You were gonna say something? Here you are. Paul, please.
Yeah, thank you. I think just hearing what folks have said has broadened my understanding of the story, and that the earth said, I am a witness. To me, answers Mara's question, which was, Buddha, or Gautama, who are you? And to me, it means a relationship. Like the earth said, he's not alone. We're in relationship here. And that's the Dharma of that moment for me, is that the interconnectedness and the not separateness of that activity, of that event. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to get back to what you were just saying with the koan, Paul. But let's first hear what I see. Robin Levine.
It makes me think about the closer I am to the earth, the more stable I am. When something is tall and upright, the winds can blow it. And the closer you are to the ground, the more stable. And Mara was trying to blow the Buddha off it was the winds of delusion. And when he points to the earth, it's saying, I'm here, I'm stable. The earth is holding me. It's my witness that I'm here. So that was my thought about stability.
That is so great, because look at what we do. It's really amazing. We take steps slower because we want to make sure that we're okay, that we're walking well. We really try to get good shoes. My husband, after his stroke, my God, had to wear these heavy shoes because on the left side, his entire left side, right side didn't work. And he did learn how to walk with a lot of rehab, but he never felt the ground under his right foot. That's amazing to me. I watched him walk, I watched him do stairs, and I knew that he could not feel the ground under his foot. I think about myself, and most of us, we're like 6 inches off the ground most of the time. Think about it. We're in our heads. We're up here. We're always up here. We're like a foot. I mean, sometimes if you live in a spiritual community, as I have, you feel like you're living 10 feet off the ground sometimes. It's a real danger. And when you have to watch your shoes, what slippers are you wearing? What's this? How are you going downstairs? Look at that. That's an amazing, it's exactly what you said. We're developing a relationship with the earth that we didn't have before. Yeah. I may not be able to call on everyone because we may need to move on, but Rachel, please.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to you, Eve, and to everyone else. And I want to say that I want to talk to Jeff about this at some point, but I've been dealing with neuropathy, which has gotten worse lately, and not being able to feel my feet on the ground in the way that I used to. And it's created an intense amount of anxiety and a sense of disconnection. So being analytically and Buddhistly oriented, I've been open to, this is a different kind of trying to get to the essence, but to the depths of the times throughout my entire life, I think starting in infancy, where I really felt disconnected from my mother, my father, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think sometimes aging, when we confront certain things, is an invitation to go to the root of certain things. And so it's been pretty profound to do that. And everything you are saying, everything everyone is saying, I think is so important, is to surrender, to feel held, even if you've got an experience of not feeling held. Yeah, so I think getting to the essence, which is that we're, of course, infinitely interconnected. Sometimes we have to go through the dark places where we didn't feel connected. So that's part of what my journey has been.
Wow, that's so moving to me. Again, maybe because you remind me of Bernie, what it is not, if we don't appreciate what it is to feel the ground under our feet, imagine what it is not to feel the ground under our feet. Now what's holding?
Exactly. And it takes you back to those places when you really weren't held and didn't have all the resources I have now yeah. It's really been something. But I just want to say I'm getting ready to do a thing on aging for my community here. And the one thing I'm going to say is don't even think about it if you don't have spiritual practice, because that's a lot of what's holding us all, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Elizabeth, please. Sorry, I am going to turn this off.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I've been blessed with being able to practice Aikido. I've done that for the last 2 or 3 decades. And so in Aikido, we sit in Seiza before we start, and then we bow. And during the practice, we bow a lot. So when in doubt, you bow to your opponent, to your uke. And in the time span of an hour and a half practice, you get thrown on the ground at least 20, 30 times, and you have to get back up. So it's just been a wonderful practice. And I'm appreciating more and more as the decades passed of just being so close to the ground so many times. I really feel it in my body that this connection and that falling on the earth, actually, for me, at least during practice, is not a frightening thing. It's, oh, I can get back up. Now, outside of practice, it's not as easy, but yeah, I feel it's been an incredible blessing in my life to do that Aikido practice.
Thank you. You're reminding me, Elizabeth, It's what you first said about that no matter what happens, you're always bowing. You're bowing many times. And there's very famous one of my favorites. What's his name? Elder Ting. That's how you call it. Elder Ting. He had the unfortunate fortune or misfortune of having Linchi, the founder of Rinzai Zen, as his teacher. And Linchi was a very physical, could get violent with you, trying to bring you into the... Elder Ting asks Linchi something like, what's the essence? I forget what the words are. It doesn't matter. It always comes back to the same question. What is this life? Who am I? What is the essence? And Lynchy, being who he is, he goes down, shakes him up like this, maybe gives him a couple of slaps, I don't remember. And this is an elderly man in China. You don't ever do this to older people. And so Elder Ting just stands there like shocked. And one of the monks says, Elder Ting, why don't you bow? And so just he's frozen, okay? He's frozen, but he was just told to bow. Teacher did what he did, you have to bow. He bows and he gets enlightened. Yeah, he gets enlightened. Isn't that a wonderful koan? And there's many ways of looking at that. But I love it that it's when he does all that and he's just standing there and he's in his head and what am I supposed to do now? And why did he shake me up? And why did he slap me? That doesn't help him. But the minute he bowed, he did something in his body and looked down on the ground. He got enlightened. That's what you remind me of. When you told us that. Thank you very much, really. Let's see. Yeah, okay, David, please. David?
Yeah, so this whole conversation has reminded me of a teaching that I received from a monastic in the Plum Village tradition, that when walking is a pretty automatic thing. It changes as we age, but walking was just, we can zone out and not think about it. And this monastic said, when you're doing walking meditation or kinhin in some traditions, don't just zone out and walk, but really think about your feet touching the ground and either your feet caressing the earth or the earth caressing or kissing your feet, and really connect with that groundedness to the earth and what your feet are doing. And so I don't do it all the time. It's easier when you're outside, I think, for me, to embody that, but just that physical connection and not just mindlessly walking, but really thinking about your feet connecting and grounding with the earth. So just wanted to share that teaching.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, and Tom, please.
Oh, thank you all. You're all beautiful, I gotta tell you. But we are very ephemeral as creatures. Our minds are everywhere. And the fact to be grounded sometimes scares us. And I'm going to give you a story. When I was faced with a situation where my wife was giving birth in the bathroom. I came home from work, unexpected. She tells me to get hold of myself. I am shaking. I'm basically a coward. But I had the training. I had all this stuff. I lay out the towels. And it's a situation I had no control, but I had to be grounded. And then I just let it go. I accepted it completely. And it was a phenomenal experience. In that grounding, I said to myself, I'm going to lose my wife and daughter. And there's not a thing I can do but be here. And it turned out fine. She came out smiling, a little pink thing. And we both looked at each other when the baby was there. It was the umbilical cord. And we're looking at each other and we laughed. we must have laughed. It seemed like forever, but it was only a couple of minutes. And it was absolutely amazing. Being grounded is hard, but at the same time, it's so necessary to complete our lives. Other than that, we have fantasies, ideas. We launch from this planet Earth, and with our ideas and everything that we're grounded here with, we explore the entire universe and cosmos and ourselves. And everything's a mystery to us. But grounding is phenomenal. And I just want to share that with you. It was a great experience, and there's a few others, but I'm running out of time. Thank you very much. Bless you all.
It's it's a wonderful story. Wow, I really appreciate that very much. I was just reflecting on when we're young and we're beautiful, we're this, we're that. That's exactly the time when we're not grounded. It's so interesting. We're so in our heads, or we're in the mirror, or we're in the culture, or we're in this. And it actually takes when we're different, when we're no longer like that. When we're much more connected to the earth, like you just said. So much more connected. So it's like that reminds you that you have form. We have a body. We're physical. And all of this is changing. I want to bring up another koan. I'm afraid we're going to run out of time. Let's see what happens. Very wonderful koan. Yunmen said to the assembly, medicine and disease subdue each other, or let's use another word. Medicine and disease are in accord with each other. The whole earth is medicine. What is the self? Medicine and disease are in accord with each other. We usually think of it as a wall dividing between medicine and disease. This is illness. This is medicine. We know that's not true. Our antibiotics are made of bacteria to fight the bacterial infection that we have. What is disease and what is medicine changes with the circumstances. There's nothing just medicine and just disease. Taking anything that might be very healthy, but taking it to excess is going to cause disease. So he says medicine and disease are in accord with each other. They don't fight each other. And then he says the whole earth is medicine. Everything, even things that you think are bad, even things that you think are poison. In different situations, different quantities, different bodies, different organisms, it's all medicine. He says the whole earth is medicine. What is the self? Meaning, what are you? Goes right back to that old question. So who are you? If the whole earth is medicine, who are you? What is your relationship with this whole earth? When everything is pulling you down, your body, your legs, everything is pulling you down, what is your relationship with this earth that is all medicine? What is it? Let me see. So, maybe I'll just talk about Byron Katie for a minute, and then I would like us to go down into small groups, I think, unless somebody else has other things to say. I remember Byron Katie. Byron Katie is, for those of you who don't know, she's a wonderful teacher. As I'm aware, not of any particular religious tradition, but is just a fabulous teacher. So she She was once here at the place we used to own, and she did a whole big workshop, and a lot of people came. The whole place was completely crowded. And she said that the other night, she says, last night, I got really sick and I went to the bathroom and I went on my knees and I threw up right into the toilet. I just threw up everything. Threw up everything. And then as I'm throwing up, I think, wow, this is so interesting. Look at all this food and look at the form of it. Look at the way it's coming out. Oh, look at that. And look at that. And look at the color of that. And wow, look at that watery texture. Boy, I thought that was solid. And now look at this. Wow, isn't that something? Now, me sitting there felt really bad because she had been staying with us and I've been feeding she and her husband, Stephen. So I'm thinking, oh my God, what did I feed her that made her throw up so badly? But I was really at the same time taken with the way she didn't go the way I usually do if I throw up. She was like, wow, look at that. Oh, look, this is food, but look at how it's changed. And look at this. Look at that. What is all this? You see what I'm saying? What is this, my relationship to this earth that is all medicine? Am I separate from it? What happens as I get older? As many people have already said, I reconnect. Okay. I would like us to break into small groups and give us a chance to share more in small groups. And don't forget, that's going to increase the amount of attention you give and that you receive. Oh, I see Chloe put some prompts. What does getting down to earth or letting the earth hold you mean at this time in your life? Where do you plant your feet? Think of how you walk, how you stand, how that feels. What shoes or slippers do you wear? What hikes do you do and what hikes do you no longer do? How much travel from home do you do? And also, I put down something, what has brought me to my knees? That's a phrase that I've seen, and it's always meant a lot to me. Brought me down to my knees, meaning we think of bringing down to your knees, at least in English, as things are so bad that I just have given up and I'm down on my knees. And I remember two situations in my own life where after something, I found myself on the floor. I didn't fall. I just sank on the floor. And I always thought I sank on the floor because my legs gave way, things were so bad. But I don't think so now. I think I sank on the floor because that's what held me. That's what gives me refuge. So that phrase, what has brought me, don't forget, brought me to my knees. My knees are on the floor. So all that's connected with my relationship with the earth. It can hold anything. The most terrible experiences, it will hold you. And my computer just reminded me of the time. Could we break up into groups of, Jeff, of about 4 people, okay? And come back by 1:25 my time, so we have 25 minutes? Let me just, something that came up in our group that I really loved, I didn't think of it before, is I think Sue shared about that she feels close, and I'm speaking for you because I know that we can't hear you. She said that when she's in bed, she feels grounded. And it really hit me that there's something about being horizontal that is very grounding. It's really interesting. I just like, all our life we're built on stature, getting up, being high up, being up there, always up there. And there's something about just being horizontal that flattens us down to the ground. And that also has a very interesting impact on us, even if we're not horizontal on the land itself. I thought that was very interesting for me, at least. So I appreciate Sue a lot for sharing that in our group. Thank you, Sue, really. And we do have to close. I want to remind you, next week, it's not about staying up at night, or you could bring it in. It's about the really dark feelings we get. Fear, anxiety, depression. And it'll be so nice to welcome Bob Rosenbaum, who I think you will all really appreciate very much. See you in 2 weeks. I think it's the 22nd, Jeff. And you'll get a reminder. And thank you for coming. And thank you for getting older.